All right, guys, this is the second day that we're working on 8.2. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Here's the class opener. Number one, we need to simplify and then classify the answer. So once again, guys, when you have a polynomial, and by the way, this is not in standard form. Look, this exponent's 1, this exponent's 2. Right here, it doesn't have a variable, so this is all out of order. This one is in standard form. It is in order from highest exponent down to smallest. Anyway, we need to add both of those polynomials. And it's important to note that when you are adding polynomials, you could just ignore the parentheses. If you want, just scratch them out. And then you combine the terms that are alike. So since we want our answer in standard form, we want to start with the highest exponent term with the degree, the term with the degree. And we know that the highest exponent term is the 2x to the third. So that's going to be the first part of our answer. And you have to check and see if there's any other x to the thirds. And as you can see, there's no other x to the thirds. This is the only one. So this is, you don't have to add it with anything. That is the first part of your answer, which is 2x to the third. Let's move on to the next highest exponent, which would be the x squared. So we really do have a negative 2x squared right here. And if we look for the other x squared, there is no other x squared. So that has to come down next. Okay, so let's write it, negative 2x squared right there. And let's move on to the next highest exponent, which is just the variable x. And as you can see, we have a negative 4x right here in the first part. We have a positive 4x right here on the second polynomial. So a negative 4x plus 4x, those are complete opposite values. They will cancel out. Is there anything left? Well, there's the number without a variable, which is 4. So let's bring down that plus 4. And this is our final answer, guys. And yes, I haven't been here for a couple of days. This is the third day I haven't been here, but we still are going to have a small quiz tomorrow. So please make sure you guys are paying attention, and please make sure you guys do the homework today. Let's move on to number two. Number two, oh wait, we still need to classify number one. So this is where we go back to our notes if we still don't understand how to classify. And right here in our notes, it says our first name comes from this, right? First name. And our last name is based on the number of terms, last. Okay? So your first name is based on the degree, the highest exponent. So if you have the degree 3, the first name would be cubic, the degree 4, quartic, and so on and so on. Then the number of terms that you have tells you the last name. Mono means 1, bi means 2, tri means 3. If it's 4 or more, that means many, so polynomial. So let's go back to the first and last names here. On this answer, we have the highest exponent 3, and on our notes we said that was cubic. And for the last name, we have to think of how many terms there are. And remember, the terms are separated with a minus or a plus. So we have 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms. So that is a trinomial. So complete name is cubic trinomial. And let's box that in. That's part of our answer. And I will ask you to do these same things on the quiz tomorrow, which should be Friday. Anyhow, number 2, right there we have a minus sign. And the minus sign is a little bit more interesting because we need to distribute that minus sign. Now up here on the top, we had a plus sign. And the reason why I said just ignore the parentheses is because if you were to distribute the plus sign, nothing changes. It would still be positive 2x to the third. It would still be positive 4x. So distributing a plus sign will not change anything. However, when you do have a minus sign, like down here, that will change the signs on the inside of the parentheses. So right here, I do recommend you circle the minus sign and then draw an arrow that you're going to put it on the 5. That becomes minus 5. Draw an arrow on the positive x to the fourth. That'll become a negative x to the fourth. Draw an arrow to the negative 2x, which will become a positive 2x. So that is my new red polynomial right there. All the signs changed. Now notice that over here, there is nothing to distribute into this first polynomial. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite it right below. So now we have our polynomial without parentheses, and let's combine the like terms. And once again, you want your answer in standard form, so you do want it organized from highest exponent. Now 3 is not the highest exponent. Highest exponent is 4 in this case, so let's start organizing it. This negative x to the fourth, is there anywhere or any other term that's x to the fourth so we could combine it? And the answer is no, there is no other x to the fourth. So the first part of our answer will be negative x to the fourth. Let's move on to the next highest exponent, which is negative 2x to the third. And once again, there is no other x to the third value, so I'm just going to bring that down, negative 2x to the third. Let's move on to our x's. Well, we have a negative 2x right here, and we have a positive 2x right here. Now remember, we're combining, right? You're just adding or subtracting. So right here, if you have a negative 2x plus 2x, they're going to eliminate. It's going to disappear because that would be 0. So let's move on to the final term, which is the constant. And you have a 5x, or a positive 5 and a negative 5. So 5 take away 5, it also cancels out. So this guy canceled with this guy, and there's nothing else to write. So this is our answer. And if we want to classify it, once again, the first name is based on the degree, and the degree in this case is 4. So let's go back to our notes and let's look at the degree of 4. The degree of 4 is quartic, all right? Not quadratic. A lot of students get quadratic confused with quartic because they both have the root word 4, quad, quart, right? But the degree 4 is quartic. Now, that's the first name. The last name, as you can see right here, there's only one term, two terms. So that would be binomial. So quartic binomial is your answer. And let me box that in. So on Friday's quiz, you're going to get 1 point for combining like terms correctly. You're going to get another point for classifying correctly. And guess what? On tomorrow's quiz, you're not going to be able to use the notes. So please make sure you have that memorized. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is simplifying each expression. That's pretty easy. All we're going to do is simplify by applying distributive property. So I'm going to take this monomial that's out here in the front, and I'm going to multiply it by negative 2t to the second. So how do we do this? Let's start by multiplying the coefficient that's in front, the negative 3 times the coefficient negative 2. So negative 3 times negative 2, that is positive 6. Okay. And now let's go through with the letters. Well, I have an r that I need to multiply by. Is there any other r's here? No. So I'm just going to write it. So far I have a 6r. And let's move on to the t's. I have a t times t squared. T times t squared is t to the third. I want to put capital T so we don't confuse it with a plus sign. So there's my first term, and I got that by distributing negative 3rt times negative 2t squared. Let's now distribute the negative 3rt to this positive 3r. So once again, you're going to start with the coefficients. Negative 3 times a positive 3, well, that would be a negative 9. So I'm going to put a minus 9 right there. And then I'm going to go for the next term, which is an r. R times r is r squared. Now let's go for the final term, t times, is there another t over here? No, so I'm just going to write it. I'm just going to bring down that t. Whoops, I said capitalized. Sorry about that. Let me just keep it alike. So anyway, that's my answer for number 3. Now this one was slightly a little more confusing because it had 2 variables in it. It has the r's and the t's, but that's okay. As you can see, we could do them. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 has 2 distributive properties that we have to do, and then a bunch of combining like terms after that. So let's start with 6t times 2t. Well, 6 times 2 is 12. T times t is t squared. And then 6t times negative 3, that's just going to be a negative 18 with the t on it. Okay? And now let's move on over here. Let's take this negative 5, this minus 5. Now notice that I'm circling the 5 and I'm including the minus that's in front. That's very important to do. Make sure that you include that minus sign as if it were a negative 5. Okay, so that minus sign, we're going to pretend that it's a negative. So we can look at it as negative 5. That way we distribute a negative 5. So negative 5 times positive 2t squared, that's going to be a negative 10t squared. Then negative 5 times positive 9, that's going to be a negative 45t. And then negative 5 times, finally, minus 3, that's going to be a negative times a negative is a positive 15 with no variables. So as you can see, we have this huge red polynomial, Now all we have to do after distributing is combine like terms. Now I want you to understand something. When you distribute 6t times 2t, check it out, exponents change. Now that makes total sense because when you multiply, exponents do change. But over here, we're not going to be multiplying anymore. Right here, we're just combining like terms. So exponents are not going to change. It's as simple as this. We're going to start with the highest exponential term, this guy, 12t squared, and we're going to combine it with a negative 10t squared. So just imagine, $12, take away $10. Oh, the answer is $2. But in this case, we're not talking about dollars. We're talking about those t squared values. And then after that, we're going to move on to the next like term, like the minus 18t minus 45t. So again, you're just combining like terms here. You owe $18, you owe $45, you're going to owe $63. So minus 63 of those dollars, but we know it's not dollars, they're t values. And again, the exponents do not change. Why? Because I'm not multiplying. I'm just adding or subtracting. I'm combining like terms here. Now the very last one, the 15, you just bring that down because there's nothing to combine it with. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the answer. 2t squared minus 63t plus 15. If I wanted to classify it first and last name just for fun, that would be a quadratic trinomial. Once again, quadratic trinomial. It didn't ask us to classify, but hey, it's fun. Let's move on. Solve each equation. Okay, so these are multi-step equations with variables on both sides, and we had them on the previous worksheet homework. We're going to have it on the next homework. So let's tackle this. Number 5. The way to do this is to simplify one side at a time. So what I'm going to do is actually cover up this right side, and I'm just going to focus in on the left side right now. I'm going to simplify. So the first step to solving any equation is to simplify one side at a time. Okay, so you want to simplify the whole equation. Right now I'm just going to focus in on the left side. So 3 times 3u, that'll be 9u. And then 3 times 2, that'll be 6. And then of course I'm going to bring down the plus 5. So just bring it down, plus 5. So I've distributed. Now I have 3 terms, and I need to combine the terms that are alike. So I have a number here and a number there. We could add that. 6 plus 5 is 11. So let me rewrite what I have. I have the 9u, and we said 6 plus 5 is positive 11. This is the left side of the equation. Let me take the equal sign, bring it down, and now let's work on the right side of the equation. So now I could uncover this and simplify the right side now. So let's simplify that right side. Let's distribute 2 times 2u is 4u. And then 2 times negative 2, that's negative 4. And of course, let me write this right next to the equal sign. So we have 4u minus 4. So ladies and gentlemen, what we have now is a simplified equation. Notice there is no distributive property on the left side, no distributive property on the right side. There's no more combining like terms to do. It's simplified. So now all we have to do is worry about getting u by itself on one side of the equal sign. So here's the equal sign. I need to get u by itself on one side. Where is it at? Is the u on the left side or is it on the right side? Hey, it's on both sides. I don't want it on both sides. So I need to get rid of one of these u values. I'm going to get rid of the 4u by subtracting 4u. That'll cancel it out. That'll become 0. And what I do to one side, I must do to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 4u over here. I'm going to have a new equation that reads 5u, bring down the plus 11, bring down the equal sign, bring down the negative 4. And now we have a two-step equation with the u on the left side only. So now I need to get rid of that 11. Now I am running out of space here, so let me do this. I'm going to rewrite the equation up here, and I'm going to solve it. So you're probably not even going to have enough space on this little slip of paper that we passed out, so please rewrite it in your notebook if you need to. Let's continue solving. So I need to get rid of that 11 by subtracting 11. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. Negative 4 minus 11, that will be negative 15. The equal sign comes down, and what do we have left on the left side? We have 5u, so I'm going to rewrite that down here, 5u. So I have 5u equals negative 15. For my final step, I need to get rid of the multiplication of 5. 5u is really 5 times u, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So you have to divide by 5, and you will have u equals -3. So that's your answer for this question on the class opener number 5. Okay. Number 6, it's a slightly more complicated equation, and the answer is not that nice. Let's work it out here. On the left side, I'm going to simplify both sides. Let me simplify the left side first. So I'm just going to cover that up for a little while. Let me simplify 8 times 3b, that's 24b. 8 times 1, that is +8. Okay, so far I've simplified the left side. Let me just put that right here. Let me simplify the right side now. 4 times b, that's 4b. 4 times 3, that's +12. And then I'm going to bring down this -9. I'm just going to rewrite it down here. So I do have 3 terms. Out of these 3 terms, I could combine the numbers with the numbers. If I had other b values, I could combine the b's with the b's. But in this case, I'm just going to combine the +12 - 9. In our head, 12 take away 9, that is 3. So on the left side, I have 4b plus 3. We said 12 take away 9 is +3. On the right side, so the equal sign is just going to come straight down. Let me get this rectangle out of the way. And on the left side, we have the 24, we have the 24b plus 8. So here's our new blue equation, and we want to get b by itself on one side. The problem is we have b's on both sides here. Okay, so we need to get b by itself on one side. So I'm going to get rid of the 4b on the right side by doing the opposite of 4b, which is a -4b, a -4b. 4b, take away 4b, eliminates, that becomes 0. What you do to one side, you do to the other side to maintain the equality. So we're going to subtract 4b from the 24b. And 24b, take away 4b, that is 20 of those b's. It's like saying $24, take away $4, you still have $20. Let's bring down the +8, bring down the equal sign, bring down the 3. All I have to do left is get that b by itself on the left side of this equal sign. So I need to get rid of the +8 first by doing the opposite, -8. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. My new equation is 20b equals 3 take away 8 is -5. So my final step to get rid of that 20 in front of the b is not to subtract 20, but to understand that you have 20 times b, which means that the opposite of multiplication is division. So to get rid of the multiplication of 20, I need to divide by 20. And what I do to one side, I do to the other side. So right here, yes, the 20 over 20 cancels. It becomes 1. So what we really have is 1b equals -5 over 20. You could reduce that by 5, and it'll be -1 over 4. So b equals -1/4. I know you're thinking, oh, that's a fraction. So what? It's an answer. All you have to do is get to that answer, and that's it. That is the class opener for today. And believe it or not, these questions are actually questions that you're going to receive on your homework today. So number 3, if you look over here on the side, you're probably thinking, what's this 4HW? That means that it's number 4 from the homework. Number 4 is actually number 9 from the homework. And number 5 is actually number 13 from the homework. Number 6 is actually 15 from the homework. So let's take a look at our homework. 8.2 WSP, and like I said, we already have covered several of these, but I'm not going to explain any more of these questions on this video. You have all the answers on the back side of your handout. You are supposed to finish this homework by the end of this period. And once again, quiz tomorrow, I will be selecting questions from all homeworks.